Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi guys, my name is Devil Zaresha Dimitri. I'm from class B. Today I will be presenting about my understanding in linguistic. I actually don't memorize them all, so if I look at my notes a lot today, I am so sorry because it's really close to the deadline and I don't feel well right now, so I'm so sorry. So first of all, linguistic is the science of language. Some linguistics may say it's not, but some linguists agree that linguist is the science of language. And then linguist is the study of phenomena that involve language, its use, its structure, and then in the other hand, human language. Human use language to communicate to each other, to convey information, to express their feelings, and to ask opinions, guys. So, including human language, including the deaf language, but deaf language is more to the body language, which shows psychology and the attitude. And then deaf language is actually a lot different than the spoken language. And then there's many parts of linguists. It's phonetics and phonology. Phonetics is deal with sounds, so they how they made, how they combine, classified, and interact with each other. And in the other hand, phonology is the more abstract way, more like syllables and international phrases. I'm sorry. And then morphology. Morphology is the internal structure of words, the structure form of I'm sorry. The rules of sentence information, deals with words and their meaningful part. I read the PDF. They talk about the example, the difference between cover and lover. Cover is just it's just one word. There's no other meanings, but lover, on the other hand, lover is based on the word love, but it's the person, so we added the er, no, just the r, I'm sorry. And then there's syntax. Syntax is the core of any language. It's actually new, guys. A syntax is actually new, pretty new. It concerns in which way the words can be organized from words to sentence, so the sentence can be understood. And then there's semantics. Semantics divided into two. It's the meaning of language. There's lexical semantics, relationship between words, which the meaning of the sentence can be built up from the meanings of their constituent words. And then there's the sentence. Semantics makes use to the tools and the nations. I'm sorry if I'm reading a lot. Okay. And then there's pragmatics. Pragmatics deals with the way of the meaning and utterance may be spoken, influenced by its speakers. Guys, it's the way how its speakers utters the sentence, so it will be interpreted in the context. And then there's lexicology. It's part of the semantics. It's a fixed expression. You can't deprive the meanings cannot be deprived from the components, And then there's application of linguists. There's artificial linguists. It's about geographical linguists. We use them in... No, it's not. Apparently it's not. I'm so sorry. Oh, artificial linguist is a machine. Machine should be termed intelligence. It be termed intelligent. So the human didn't even realize that they were interacting. They were not interacting with other human. And then there's forensic linguistic. Forensic linguistic is more like law. It's legal context, the identification of sound tape, tape recording, and then there's the authorship of decepted document. It actually, I think it's pretty much the police using the tape recording, right? And then there's language policy. Language policy is the guidelines of how to deal multilingualism within the organization. And then there's lexicography, the creation of dictionaries. Some people don't specifically to do, some people say there's nothing to do with linguistic, but it creates vocabulary lists for individual language and translating from the other language. And then there's machine translation. Machine translation, it translate a written text from one language to others. And then there's speech and language therapy. It deals with people who got sick due to stroke, maybe, so they lost their ability to speak, and then to speak it clearly. And maybe, for native speakers in English, maybe they can't use grammars anymore, maybe they lost vocabulary, something like that. And then there's speech recognition. Speech recognition is a computer to they can dictate, they can, text from detection, and then make airline booking without any human presence. And then for security purpose, they can security purpose, so only some individuals can access to certain information. And then there's speech synthesis. Computer to produce sound wave can be interpreted as speech. And then there's teaching in linguistics. Second and foreign language teaching, ability to read and write. So like us, we're Indonesian, we can do another strange language, teaching into strange language. And then meanwhile us, we still learn Indonesian language, right? So as the native speaker, they still need to learn more about their own language. And then there is some other linguistic. There is areal linguistic. This is what I'm talking about. It's about geographical, a geographical area to characterize a particular geographical area. And then there's comparative linguistic, which they were comparing their first language, their mother language, to the other language which have derived. It's the earlier stage of speaking or learning English. And then there is computational, the use of computer in the analysis linguistic behavior. They use computer to analyze the linguistic behavior. And then there's educational linguistic, which for the children to cope with the educational system, with the language required to cope with the educational system. And then there's ethno-linguistic. It's for cultural context. It also called anthropological studies. It's the study of language in cultural context. And then there's mathematical linguistic. Deals with mathematical properties of language, grammar to use to describe this language. And then there's neurologistic. Linguistic structure and processes with deal with brain. I don't actually get that. How do you do that? Processes deal with brain. I'm sorry, sir. Anyways, psychologistic and deals with the way in which the mind deals with language, how language stood in mind, how language understood and produced in real time. And then there's sociologistic for social context and social factor. Oh, and let's talk about linguistic science. some people say linguistic is science. You know, we study about human behavior, right? Language is how human communicate. So how it's the same with psychology and medical. They also learn about human behavior. So for me, I guess yeah, linguistic can actually be science of language. You know, they can they could be science. For some beginner linguists, it's different with the more advanced linguists. You know, they have a different opinion. And then there's what is not linguist. Perhaps the most general exclusion from linguistic is the study of literally use language in order to towards emotional effects, although linguistic and literal both. Oh, right, I'm sorry, I was reading. So linguist and literature is actually both based on language, right? For us it's English language. So they actually the basic material of language, right? But they still overstep between each other two fields. Often little, if any, overlap between the two fields. Meanwhile, there's linguistic and philology, if I'm not mistaken. Linguistic and philology. Philology is more like what do you call it again? History or method. That's the difference between maybe, I don't know, we haven't learned philology yet, right? So maybe what I know now, it's about the history maybe of English, of language, in the 90th and the early 20th. Meanwhile, in the other hand, linguist is the language system. So history method, history in the 90s and early 20s is covered under the title of philology. Okay, I guess that's all for today, guys. I'm so sorry. I've been reading a lot. I don't have much time to read, but I pretty much understand. Linguists got so many parts of it. You know, the artificial, the cultural things, and then their syntax and the gang. You know, I'm sorry. I've been reading a lot because I don't have much time. I'm actually pretty sick today, so I think I've tried my best. You know. Okay, thank you guys. Bye bye.